This is a Wi-Fi range extender that I originally bought to build a DIY point-to-point Wi-Fi setup, but that didn't really work, so now I've just got this wireless range extender laying around doing nothing. So I thought, why not put it to good use and use it to do, well, exactly what it's designed for, and use it to expand my Wi-Fi network. So using a device like this to expand an existing wireless network can be done in a variety of ways, and here's how I'm going to do it. On the side of this device over here, there is an Ethernet port. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to connect this to an Ethernet cable so that this has wired internet access, and then I'm going to configure it as an access point. So it's not going to be any kind of repeater or wireless range extender, it's going to be an independent access point with its own wired internet connection. Now even that can be done in two ways. The first method, which is the recommended way, is to put the new access point, this one, on a new SSID. So to give it a different name from the access point that you already have. So in my case, my access point downstairs is called wireless. This would then be called wireless 2, for example. And you would, when you go upstairs, you get closer to this one, you take your device and manually switch over to wireless 2. This works really well. This is the way they recommend you do it. This is the way I would recommend you do it. The second method is to give the new access point the exact same name, and also password of course, as your old access point, meaning they'll show up as one network on your device, so you can't distinguish between them in the list of Wi-Fi networks, and in theory you can just connect to that network and your device will automatically connect to whichever access point has the best signal as you move through your house. So in theory, this roaming is amazing. In practice, it often doesn't work that well with Wi-Fi. So sometimes devices connect to the wrong AP, or they stick to an AP. Despite this not being the recommended way and it having problems, it is the method I'm going to be using. And that's for two reasons. First of all, I've been doing some testing, and so far it seems like it's working relatively well on most devices. I've had very little problems with it. Maybe I'm just kind of lucky. The second reason is that this is a dual band access point. It can do 2.4 and 5 GHz, which means I can create two networks. So I'm going to create one network with the same name, wireless, as the already existing access point, and do my wacky roaming stuff. And I'm going to create a backup network on the 5 GHz band, so that if for some reason roaming doesn't work properly, if devices aren't automatically switching over, I always have the option of manually connecting to the 5 GHz network. So now without further ado, let's get started installing this stuff, shall we? So first of all, we need to somehow power this access point, because obviously it needs power in order to work. Now this access point doesn't support power over Ethernet, and neither does my network switch, so that wasn't really an option. So what I've done is I've installed a power strip over here. Now I can simply take my access point and plug it into that, just like that. So right here I've got my 10-meter Cat5e cable. Now I'm just going to plug that into the access point. And now of course we need to route this cable to the network switch so that the access point will have internet access. Okay, so now we can take our network cable from the access point and plug it into our switch. Now, when I plug this in, we should see a green LED turn on the switch, indicating that a link has been established. Because, in the meantime, I've plugged in the extension cord that provides power to our access point as well, which means it's powered on, so when I plug this in, we should see it connect. There you go. As you can see, green LED is on, which means we've now got a 100 megabit connection to our access point, because the access point for some reason has a 100 megabit LAN port instead of a a gigabit one, but you know, I figured I don't really need gigabit speeds on Wi-Fi. Anyway, now that we've connected it to the network, we can go ahead and log into it from a computer and apply all the right settings. So I'm now on the computer, and as you can see, I've logged into the web interface of the first access point, the one that is downstairs. So you can see its SSID is wireless, the very original name I already mentioned, and it's on channel 9, and we're using BG+N Wi-Fi. Also, it's using WPA2 security. So now what we're going to do is go over to the settings of our new wireless access point, right, the Netgear one we just installed. And you can see its 2.4 GHz is also called wireless, so the exact same SSID. It's on a different channel, so it's on channel 13 instead of 9, to prevent it from interfering with the downstairs access point. And finally, I'm also using the exact same security settings and password on this access point. So I made an additional network called 5 GHz extra, so you can connect to this network manually if for some reason the 2.4 GHz one doesn't work well or is too slow or something else. Finally, I've also set a static IP address, just because I don't like the idea of dynamic IP addresses on devices like this. So now we're just going to save these settings. Yes, there we go. And now our access point should be up and running, which means we can start testing it. So that's exactly what I did, and I can tell you that the system actually works very well. Most devices seem to have no trouble whatsoever with this roaming setup. They all connected within a matter of seconds after walking into this room. Now, some devices are better at it than others, and also even on devices that do it really well most of the time, it can sometimes take just a bit longer. I don't know why. I guess that's just luck that is involved. And I've also tested it on a laptop, a Windows 10 laptop, that just refused to do roaming altogether. So it just refused to disconnect from the downstairs access point and reconnect to this one. What I think is particularly nice about this setup, though, is that we're using a dual band access point, which means that even if roaming fails and the device doesn't connect to the right 2.4 GHz network, you can always just manually connect to the 5 GHz network that I've also created. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and of course, thank you for watching.